right, so like Bobby said, my name is Sam. I've got a YouTube channel, and I think that's kind of why I'm talking today anyway. YouTube channel. My name is Sam Russell. If you put that into YouTube, you'll find my channel because it's my name, because that's who I am. I'm from down in Joplin. I grew up there. I was in the Boy Scouts. I was an Eagle Scout. I ended up in the Marines shooting machine guns. That was cool. I've been out of the Marines about this long.
Country folks can survive because you can't starve us out and you can't make us run. Those Woodland Moan boys raised on shotguns. We say grace, we say
About a month?
What?
About a month?
Something. So was it 2 months ago? I put a video up on YouTube just kind of talking about the difference between a couple of different methods of carrying like fighting gear, magazines, water, food, that sort of thing. And I guess Bobby liked it and wanted me to talk longer than 10 minutes about it. So here I am. Yeah, like everything around here, Bobby's fault. Yep. So first thing I want to talk about is like some backpack related stuff. Does anybody have one of those, what are they called? Bug out bags, get home bag, survival bag, a couple of people. Okay.
Just scattered all over. No, I don't.
Does anybody actually like put that on and walk around with that stuff on? One. Cool. That's a higher percentage than I thought it was going to be. So, when I was in the Marines, we would do a bunch of hikes, rucks, whatever, putting up to like 100 pounds in a bag. Actually, exactly like this one. 100 pounds, walking around, uneven terrain, carrying rifles, armor on. And since I was a machine gunner, we would add machine guns on top of that. So the riflemen were in the back carrying one of those and a rifle. And then we were up in the front with like medium and heavy machine guns, mortars, anti-tank missiles, all that stuff. And she was heavy. My back hurts now. So yeah, this whole speech is kind of brought to you by government-induced back pain. Not service-connected at all, yeah. Yeah, it's totally my fault.
Why I can't hear you? They're ringing in my ears.
What? My hearing's okay most of the time. Unless someone's speaking to me, then it's not okay anymore. Since I already mentioned this bag, so probably nobody here actually needs one of these, because they're freaking huge. But if you did need to carry like 100 pounds for some reason, that'll do it. So that's the current issue Marine Corps main pack. It's like 90 liters or something like that, or quarts, if you've been to the moon, quarts. It's big. And like I said, you can put over 100 pounds in that and carry it around. But that's not really realistic for like anybody at all, including 20-year-old Marines. It's not healthy. Don't do that. But there's other stuff, like these Alice packs that, I don't know, there might be some over there that you could buy, maybe. Not this one. Actually, that one I might have got that one during the Barter Town a couple of years ago. So there's two different kinds of Alice packs. The medium ones are about 35 liters or quarts. And the large one, like that one, is about 55. And that is about the right size for a couple of days. Coming out to something like this, I would use one of those for sure. So yesterday, I don't know if anybody saw me walk in, but I had that vest right there on, and then that little backpack. And that's basically everything that I need for being set up back in the woods over there. Hammock, tarp, food, water, at least a gallon of water. So every time I come out to an event like this, it's kind of practice. Like I'm parked way over there. I didn't drive up over here. I put all my stuff on. I walked all the way over, went over there, set my stuff up. So every time I come to one of these, this is just a little practice run to make sure I have all the stuff, make sure I can carry it all, feel how it feels. And feeling how this stuff feels is like super, super important. So you can't throw out that 100-pound number. You can't just like start carrying probably 50 pounds and walk in, 6, 8, 10, 12 miles. That's probably not the thing to do. But you can start with just get a backpack, maybe something smaller, like an Eberly Stock Bandit. These are like $150. This is the only pack I've ever bought brand new. You can get something small like that, and you can put, I think I've put probably 35 pounds in that. But a couple of quarts of water, some food, some overnight camping stuff. Just sit down, like, what would I need to camp? Let's put this in here, see how much will fit, see if I need more space, less space, and then put that on and just walk around with it for an hour or two and see how it goes. One of the things you can do that I've done a couple of times. So I live inside a very small town, so it doesn't take me very long to get outside town. I'll throw my stuff on, I'll throw the harness on, and just pick a direction and walk for half an hour. And then when the timer goes off, just turn around and go home. That's a good practice. Because then on the second half, like on the first half, you're trying to get as far as you can go and like test yourself. And then on the way back, it's like, can I continue doing that for longer than just half an hour? Can I keep this same pace? And I think that's really good practice for getting your body used to covering ground while carrying a bunch of stuff. When you're picking out a backpack, there's backpacks with frames, like this Alice pack that has a metal frame. This one's got a frame. The Eberly stock one doesn't, but it's got some really nice padding. If you're into nice padding, that one's got it. When you get up to higher weights, like when you're getting close to 50 pounds, like you want an actual frame on your backpack, just so that the weight isn't like moving around, flopping around. When you pack these, ideally you want to put most of the weight right around your shoulder blades, so kind of high up and as tight to your body as you can get it. That's where you want your heaviest stuff, so that not all of the weight is like pulling your body back. But if you get it way too high, then you're kind of top heavy, and as you're walking around, you'll probably end up walking kind of like this, and you don't want that. So if you can get the weight right around here, that is what you want. And that's what's nice about the small backpacks is there's only one place to put the weight, and it's right there. So the next thing I want to talk, well, not the very next thing. What I want to get into, kind of the purpose of that YouTube video, was talking about carrying stuff for fighting, magazines, water, food. I think I mentioned all that stuff earlier. But before we get to that, I want to talk about some history and why probably, everybody here would probably want to start thinking about having something for carrying 8 magazines, a gallon of water, enough food to keep you out for a day or two, maybe a jacket, because weather's a thing. It got kind of cold last night. I woke up at 5. Cold.
It was a little cold last night. It was chilly.
Well, it was super nice when I went to sleep, so I knew I was going to wake up in the middle of the night cold.
Yeah.
But I had the stuff laid out, so that was nice. Okay, so why would we all want to think about carrying something like that? Probably none of us are gonna just go get in a fight that you would need 8 AK mags for. Probably, I wouldn't really want to do that. But it might happen. There's some stuff maybe that's happened recently in other places, not right here, that I'm gonna say are likely to happen here or near here. Has anybody heard about there's a war in Ukraine? Anybody heard of Ukraine? There was a war. It's so over there. Over there. We gotta fight them over there so we don't have to fight them over here. Or some shit. Um, so I'm pretty sure there's a lot of farms in Ukraine and like smaller towns. And when people wearing like red flags with hammers and sickles on them, I know that's not what the Russian flag looks like anymore, I think. But when those guys show up and like you're in the place where they show up, I mean, you can run away, and that'd probably be the smart thing to do, but if they show up and you're already there, it's kind of too late. And you might have to do something about it. Especially if, like, your family is there, all your stuff is there. Even if you intend on leaving, you still have to actually do the leaving part without the other people with the guns stopping you from doing that, however it is they decide to do that. Are there any other wars going on in the world? No more, no wars. Ukraine was the last one. Israel. Oh, okay, yeah, Israel. So what happened? What happened with that? Israel has. We all talk about building these communities of like farmers, and we all kind of share stuff. But it's not socialism. It's not communism. We're just sharing stuff voluntarily, and that's the difference. In Israel, they have stuff like that, and they have had that since before Israel was a country. I forget what the word they use for it. What? That. Yeah, that. Kibbutz? Those. So they have these farming communities where everybody kind of helps out and like takes care of each other. And so when the people from over in Gaza decided to like hop on their paragliders and fly over the line and go do stuff over there, a bunch of those people died. A lot of those people died. Israel. I don't understand why, but Israel doesn't have like anything close to the Second Amendment, like at all, which is super weird because everyone around them wants them to die. But some of the military has them, but even the people that have been like trained to after they go home, they don't always get to take a rifle with them. So you've got those farming communities where if there's any guns, like they're locked up, maybe the ammo is in a different location, but for sure they tend to keep their guns locked up. And so when the people show up with the black masks and the vests with the plastic on it and the buttons, it didn't work out very well. And that's too bad. And now there's another war on. And now, instead of the fight being in the farming communities, now the fight's over in these towns where I don't know if anybody here lives in like a city. Because nobody would live in a city. That's a terrible idea. But fights happen in those things. And it's not safe. I have more examples. Oh, has anyone heard of Europe? Just the whole thing is a bunch of farms, and then like what is every 100 years they decide to just all kill each other, kind of. So like, that's the history of Europe. About Rhodesia, has anyone heard of Rhodesia? I think they call it something else now. Has really only 2 people heard of Rhodesia? Really? Okay, there's more. Okay, so Rhodesia was basically a British colony near South Africa. I think it's Zimbabwe now. They decided they weren't cool with being British anymore, which is great. But the Brits were like gigantic dicks about it, and basically got with the UN, and they kind of put an embargo on Rhodesia. And then I forget which country they were coming from, but a bunch of communists in another country decided that they were going to start doing guerrilla warfare stuff in Rhodesia. And so Rhodesia, like every other place I've mentioned, a bunch of farms. And so while this war is going on for a few years, most of the men were in what was a very small Rhodesian military doing a lot of paratrooper kind of stuff. A weird mix of anti-guerrilla and paratrooper stuff. It was super cool. But most of the men are gone, and then there's all these dudes doing this guerrilla warfare thing. So there was a lot of small groups of guys showing up at a farm, and you've got like the wife and kids left at home, and she's got to handle it herself, or be able to at least get a hold of a couple of neighbors. So you might end up in a fight with like 10 of these gorilla dudes and like 3 women and 2 kids. You know, throwing on some stuff, grabbing, let's see, that would have been probably FALs. They would have probably had a lot of FALs. It was like the 70s. Or a hunting rifle.
You remember Red Dawn?
And having to take care of stuff. Yeah, but you know, Red Dawn was hypothetical. Rhodesia actually happened, and not that long ago. Okay, but that's all stuff on the other side of the world. That would never happen here. We wouldn't do that here. We're civilized here. But there was like that whole thing with the Indians that used to live here and now they don't. That was kind of a mess. As far as I can tell, like the history of my family being in the military starts about 1773.
I felt real lucky he was my lieutenant. He was from a long, great military tradition. Somebody in his family had fought and died in every single American war.
God damn it, kick some ass. I'm on it, Lieutenant. Get on it.
And it was because they needed to fight the Cherokee. Didn't start with the Brits. It started with the Cherokee. There was some issues, and somebody in my family decided they were gonna kind of do something about it.
God damn it, kick some ass. I'm on it, Lieutenant. Get on.
But that was a long time ago. The Civil War, like here, is like a little bit more relevant to us, I think. Is Lawrence that way?
Yeah, that way.
That way, whichever direction. All right, we're gonna assume Lawrence is that way. Does anybody know what happened over there in the Civil War? What? Yeah, I mean he was over this whole area, but I mean specifically on the other side of the lake.
Quantrill.
Yeah, that guy.
Quantrill.
Quantrill.
Some say he was right for Lawrence.
Some would say that. Careful, it was right over there. I'll piss everybody off myself. I got it. So, the Civil War in Kansas and Missouri and the whole bleeding Kansas thing, my opinion, the Civil War, the way everybody talks about it, did not happen here, like, at all. What happened here was a bunch of neighbors were mad at each other for various political things, and then it just turned into this revenge cycle of, I gotta go kill that guy before they kill me, and then, well, that guy killed my brother, so I gotta go kill them, and then it just continued for a very long time. And probably didn't end after the war. So what happened in Missouri, instead of, the guys in blue over here and the guys in gray over here, most of the Southern sympathizing men hit the woods, formed their own little guerrilla bands, and then the feds spent 4 years running around trying to track them all down. But it didn't work out very well, because the feds suck. So what they started doing was, well, all the men are gone, again. All the men are gone. So they would figure out who they were, go to their house, grab the women, and put them in prison. I don't know the details of my family being involved in that, but I know there were 2 guys in my family that basically got drafted into the Union shitty militia thing in Missouri. And there was a lieutenant or a captain in their unit that was known for pulling off fingernails of women and ears, because he was a dick, and trying to figure out where the guerrillas are at. So the guy wearing the blue uniform that's allegedly the good guys was like torturing women. It's kind of shitty. He got murdered. Cool. But bigger picture, they're rounding up all of these women and putting them in like prisons. So one of the guerrilla leaders had 3 sisters that he really liked. They all got rounded up. They went to a prison over in Kansas City, and it collapsed. Maybe there were drunk Union soldiers trying to break into the women's prison because reasons, and that's why it collapsed, or maybe it was an accident, but it happened. So him and his buddies, the biggest guerrilla band in Missouri, went over there and like burned it down. Not a really cool thing to do, but they picked Lawrence because there were some particularly high profile shitty people over there being shitty to civilians in Missouri. So that's how it happened. So that's kind of how the Civil War went. Like literally right here, right over there. Like a lot of people did a lot of really bad shit, not really as a part of the war. Like personally to this family, and then that family, and then that family on both sides. I don't think anybody was really right in the Civil War around here. I think everybody. I'm not gonna say everybody was wrong, but I don't think anybody was really right around here. And if it would happen right here, literally right here, and not that long ago, I don't know why it couldn't happen again. I know everybody says like, "Oh, that was back then. We're so much better now." Except we're still like people. And does anyone disagree? Like people are shitty. Does anyone disagree? Anybody? Nobody disagrees. Okay, people are shitty. People have always been shitty. So I think it's really likely that some bad shit like that's going to go down here again. And I'm not super excited about it. So that's why I'm talking about fighting loads. Carrying magazines, water, all that sort of thing. So the reason... backing up. Has everybody heard of chest rigs? Anybody been watching the news the last like 20 years? We've been doing this like war stuff over in Afghanistan. A lot of farmers, again, weird farmers, having to like fight people.
You mean
Chest...
like the SOE chest rigs?
Yeah, exactly like the SOE chest rigs. Like the SOE, modular chest rig, made by Special Operations Equipment in Camden, Tennessee. Not sponsored. So, chest rigs. This is kind of the thing that pretty much everybody's been using to carry their fighting gear the last like 20 years. So this one here is 6 magazines, some admin stuff. I could probably put some water in here. Damn, I was hoping that was more beef jerky. It's not. But chest rigs have been super popular the last 20 years, mostly because the military has been super mechanized. If you're in a vehicle, like you want all of your stuff like up here on your chest so you can get to it, you can sit comfortably. Not sitting comfortably in a vehicle for a very long time is not fun. Ask my lower back how I know. So, but that's what everybody's kind of used to anymore. I know Special Operations Equipment carries their AKM4 micro rig, really small, 4 magazines plus room for other stuff. They're great. But chest rigs, I think, are really only good for carrying the direct fighting stuff. It's hard to carry water and food and your tarp and the overnight stuff and your beanie and all of the things that you would need to be like out doing things for a day or two. It's really hard to carry all of that in a chest rig. But they're still really cool, and if that's all you need to do, then you should probably get one of those. The way literally everyone has been carrying their shit since forever has been carrying all of their gear around their waist and around their hips. So if you think back to the very beginning of the Iraq invasion, I think everybody was still using Alice gear, which is primarily carrying all of your stuff around your hips. That pouch is not going to close. That's fine. Alice gear, everybody's carrying their things around their hips. Vietnam, you look at their gear, they're carrying a belt, all of their weights around their hips with some sort of harness. World War II was just an older version of the stuff they used in Vietnam. World War I was just an older version of the stuff they used in World War II. So all the way back, the Romans, where they carry their sword at, hip. Everybody forever, up until the last 20 years, has been carrying their stuff around their hips. So that's worth looking into. I've got this British rig. Very similar to Alice gear, arguably better. hurts me to say that. But this is what the Brits were using in the 90s. So again, all their gear around their hips. You can carry 12 magazines and 2 quarts of water. On this one, they would carry a little bit more stuff than that. And then a backpack on top of that if you need to stay out and do stuff longer than like a day. So this is kind of the stuff that I've been looking at the last year or two, is different methods for carrying what you would need to step out your door and not come back for a day or two. Because I think that's going to be important soon. I think that's coming up. I think it's going to be on the test. I think it's going to be on the test real soon. And maybe not here. You know, maybe if you live, you know, outside the city, out in the country, you've got your community, everybody's cool. Sure, you're going to get a dirt bag come through every once in a while, but like hordes of people wearing blue or gray jackets is probably not going to happen. But does anybody know the population of Lawrence?
Probably 50.
I looked it up, it's like 95,000, which is more than I expected. So I guess we didn't do a very good job of burning it down the first time. Fight me. Just kidding, I don't want to fight anybody. Not in this state anyway. Okay, so we'll say there's 100,000 people over there. You think there's any gangs over there in Lawrence? Does anybody know of any gangs?
I think they're camped out right down the road at Woodbridge.
So Joplin's about 50,000 people, and there's definitely gangs in Joplin. But like weird, shitty gangs of white people selling meth. I'm sure there's some of that going on in Lawrence too. So the thing about gangs though is like they still gotta eat, and if there's no food in the cities, everybody in there is probably gonna go to where the food is, which is like where we are, where we live. Where some of you live. Not you, whoever it was that lives in the city. Yeah, those people are going to go where the food's at because they don't want to starve. So nobody wants to starve. And yeah, you might get the random dirt bag come through, 1 or 2 people here and there. But if there's a gang in Lawrence or a gang in Joplin or Kansas City, Jesus, there's a lot of gangs in Kansas City. If you live anywhere near there, like the shitty people in town are going to come outside town and look for food. And then you're back to the same situation I was talking about earlier in Ukraine, Israel, Rhodesia, Civil War, fighting Indians. I think I forgot one. All of those things. You're going to be in the same situation as all of those people. But that would never happen here. So that's why I think having this stuff is important. Now, a few years ago, there was another YouTube video that I had nothing to do with. It was Billy, Garen, and Darren did a really good video about like defending a homestead, defending a farm, how to use like permaculture principles as a way to help fortify the place that you live. And one of the things that they said in the video is if you're fighting from your house, like it's not that it's over and you're gonna die, but like you lost. You should have done something sooner. So if the fight gets to your house, like that is not what you want. That's where your stuff is. That's where your family is. You don't want to be fighting at or from your house. So maybe you would need something like this. 8, 10, 12 magazines, gallon of water, a way to filter water, at least enough food for a day, maybe a way to get some more food. Maybe you would want something like that. So if you know there's shitty people in Lawrence, and they might come this way, maybe you would want to put that on and go walk around and see if they're coming over here. And if they are, prevent them from coming any further, however it is that you do that. Maybe you would do that in a vehicle, because walking sucks. Maybe you would do that in a vehicle, and then you'd be back to a chest rig, and you can have your food and shit inside the car, which would be great. But I don't know how bad everybody thinks this thing's going to get. But like, if gas is hard to come by, we're walking. And if we're walking, you want one of those.
Talk about it in November.
What?
In November, after the election.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, thank you for reminding me about that. Yeah, there's this weird thing in November called an election. I would probably load your magazines and change your batteries before you go vote, if you're into voting.
I hope you are.
I'm just saying. Things get real wild real fast. This note says, my family may be committing war crimes. That was about the guy cutting yours off earlier.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know that my people did that, but they were in the same unit, like they knew that guy.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. I mean, they definitely knew the guy, and it definitely happened. And he definitely got murdered. One of the stories is that guy got scalped alive. One of the stories is he got shot, one is he got beheaded, one is he got scalped alive. I don't know what really happened, but he for sure got murdered. Because he was a dick. Okay, so outside of the whole fighting things, has anybody heard of Bear Independent? He's got a YouTube channel. Yeah. He's cool. I'm pretty sure he's got some videos like the morning walk where he's talking in his like made for radio voice, talking about stuff, and he's doing his chores, and he's got a chest rig similar to one of these, and a rifle on him, and he's like feeding the chickens and shit. So if we ended up in some sort of a place where maybe the people are going to show up over the hill and we're going to have to solve some problems, maybe you're like, I forget the name of the guy, rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem with a sword and a shovel and one in each hand, that sort of thing. Who was that? Nehemiah? Yeah, that guy was cool. If you find yourself in a situation where you got to do that, like, you're going to want to have some stuff on you. So maybe you don't need something big and heavy like this. It's like 35 pounds, I think. But maybe a handful of magazines and probably a quart of water because you're out working. Like, have a way to have that stuff with you back to something smaller like this British rig. Or even a little bit smaller than that. Enough to at least get you back to the house. Sure, I just said we don't want to fight from the house, but sometimes it is what it is.
Might have to retake it.
Yeah, you might have to retake your house if you're far enough out. Having radios so you can get a hold of people at home, that would probably be a good thing. Oh, and like all of these rigs have like all of these pouches. So I don't know if you're like collecting peppers or eggs or whatever, going out and rounding up your food for the day, like you've got pouches on the thing that you could just put stuff in. So maybe you have an empty pouch or two for your eggs or whatever, and then a pouch or two with like rifle magazines, and a quart of water, and a snack. Everybody likes snacks. I like snacks.
Where can we find snacks like beef jerky?
I was gonna save that at the end. If you want snacks, there's these nice people called Grumpy Acre Farms. Well, them. Okay, so I love them. I sell beef jerky. My stuff's actually set up with Kiri's Tent Thunderhill Farms. So if you like beef jerky, that's over there. It's right. It's the one with the windows. It's the tent with the windows right next to Angela's tent. If you like beef jerky, if you're into that. I'll save the meat jokes for later. You can just fill those in yourself. You're smart. You'll figure it out.
He's playing with a mic in the back.
Hey, stop that. Okay, last thing, Bobby wanted me to talk about guns because guns are cool. I left mine over there, so we can use that one for demonstration right there. So the Keltec, you guys giving this away?
Yes, sir.
Okay, dibs. So like rifles, fighting with handguns kind of sucks. Like even if you're good with a handgun, like I think I'm pretty good, I wouldn't really want to be in like an actual fight with like more than one person, especially if there's like stuff to hide behind for them and maybe not for me. So rifles are a good thing to have. The thing with rifles though is dudes get super excited and want to get all the cool shit, and I was the same way. You want to get all the cool shit, and take something like this Keltec and change out the trigger and the sights and the bolt, and I need the titanium fucking firing pin or whatever, I don't know. And you don't need like any of that shit. Like that rifle right there, as it sits, you probably do just fine with that. So if you do have a rifle, and I'm sorry, I'm sure I'm shitting on somebody's rifle right now. I know somebody here has the thing with all of the cool stuff in it, and then all the cool stuff on top of it, and all the cool stuff under it. You don't need all of that. Like, your rifle, you need a sling so that you can, like, do this. Not surrendering, but, like, do stuff with your hands. So you can work, do your chores, without having to hold on the rifle the whole time. Sights are nice. They've got these things called red dot sights. Just sits right here, doesn't have any magnification, and you just put this little red dot on the thing where you want the bullet to go, and if you pull the trigger without moving the gun, the bullet just kind of goes there. They're super cool.
Put one on the one that won last year with the 3 multiplier. I can't see it in the right eye. I can use it with my left.
Yeah, those on some of the stuff I've got, like you can get a 3-pound, like a flip over magnifier or something if you like if you got a farm, like a legit farm, you might have to shoot like a long ways. Having like a 3-power magnifier or something like that would be cool. I know they make like 1 to 8 power variable scope things. They're neat, but like they weigh something, and those red dot sights don't. And like I said, my body kind of hurts, so I like things that don't weigh very much. And a light. You should probably have a light. It's nighttime, like every day, or every night. So, I don't know, we'll say a third of the time, like the lights are out. It might be good to be able to see. You know, if you're fighting outside, there's maybe less of a chance of smoking somebody that was like your friend, but it's still a thing. And if you are fighting somebody outside, you should probably know where they're at. And if you're not rich and have night vision, I'm not rich, or have night vision. But if you're not rich, like the way that you see at night is to turn the lights back on by having a light on your rifle.
They know where you're at then.
They do know where you're at, and that is why training is important. So any of the stuff that I've talked about, thank you, that's a perfect segue. I can wrap it up now. All of the stuff I talked about, like it sounds cool or it sounds shitty, but it all sounds, to me at least, sounds like something we should probably be ready to do. But like having the bags, having the magazines, having the rifle doesn't really count for shit if you don't know how to use it. And when I say you don't know how to use it, I mean like you need to go pay somebody that professionally shows people how to use this stuff. So I was in the infantry for 4 years. You would kind of expect me to know a lot about fighting with guns. And I do. But more with machine guns than anything else. And I can't get a hold of any of those right now. And I am not actively trying to get a hold of any of those right now. Don't come to my house. I love my dog. Stop it.
He determined I love my dog. That.
He's talking to you, handler.
Yeah.
They just giggled too.
Yeah, he says surprise. Okay. What was the last thing I said?
You're talking about your handler and wrapping up.
I was talking about getting training. Yeah, so there's plenty of places you can go, people you can talk to that like professionally teach people how to fight with things. And even people who've been in the military, people who've been in the infantry, the people are like, oh, I was in the military for 20 years. It's like, yeah, but you were a cook. Or even the infantry guys, they were taught a specific thing that applies directly to infantry stuff. I don't think anybody here is in the infantry anymore. So the rules are different, the tactics are different. You don't have 40, 19-year-old alcoholic dudes that just want to hurt people with you anymore. You're not in an armored vehicle anymore. So the rules are totally different. The tactics are totally different. So probably going and getting some training from somebody that knows about those things would be a good thing to do. And doing it now, while it's still like reasonably affordable, yes, I know everything's expensive now. Doing it now instead of later when it's like, oh shit, I just got robbed for the 3rd time going to get the groceries. Maybe somebody should show me how to like actually prevent that from happening. So you should probably go get training. I think there's there's people related to this group that do training. Who are those people?
That would be fire defensive skills. Fire defensive skills.
Fire defensive skills. I go out to tactical response a bunch. They're really cool. I know there's a guy around Tulsa, 5-0 Tactical. He was a cop, did undercover narcotics. I assume he bought and sold a bunch of drugs. But for the police, that makes it okay. But he's really good, and not super far away for a lot of people. And then with any of this stuff, if you get the backpacks or the load-bearing vests or the chest rigs or any of that, like you need to put that stuff on, walk around with it, use it. Not to be weird, but like I'll put some of this stuff on and like do stuff around the house without a shirt on, so then I can figure out like exactly where things are rubbing weird, so I can adjust things. Because if it feels comfortable without a shirt on, it's gonna feel even better with a shirt on. Probably don't do that in public. They'll think you're super weird.
What do you do for your waist pack?
What do you mean?
Your underwear outfit without any clothes on?
Wear pants.
Only you, Terry.
Please wear pants. Okay, so I think that pretty much covers everything that I had to say. So yeah, with all this stuff, like get off your ass and actually do things. Thank you for being here. If you want to hear more of me talking about this stuff that I like talking about, like I said, I'm on YouTube. If you type in my name, Sam Russell, Russell, you'll find me. I think there's one other Sam Russell with long hair that has a YouTube channel, but I think I have more subscribers than him now. So that's cool.
Does anybody have any questions for Sam? We have about 5 or so minutes. We can take a few.
And if you've got more questions, like I know I stand out, and I'll probably be over there. If anybody wants to talk after, if anybody wants to look at any of this stuff, training stuff on, I'll be around.
Just for fun, excluding carbine, what would be your top battle rifle choice?
You mean like excluding an M4, like an AR? Are we excluding AKs?
No.
AKs. AKs are cool. So yeah, it is my opinion that if you're an American, you should own your own AR-15. Period. But AKs are super cool. I'm pretty sure they're the most popular rifle in the world because there were like large countries in Eastern Europe that made a whole bunch of those things. So AKs are super cool. There's reasons for both. I was going to bring my AK over for demonstration purposes, but it's all the way over there right now. That is what is next to my bed all the time. AK. Does that answer your question?
Any other questions?
I'm not a shotgun guy at all. Oh, bigger stuff. I have a 308 AK at home.
More of a statement, less of a question, but there's a Venezuelan gang that is making its way across the United States right now. Trende, something or another, but they're specifically targeting small towns, so this is very relevant stuff.
You said they're a trendy Venezuelan gang?
Trende, Agara, something.
Yeah, they're real trendy.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, but yeah, just throwing that out there for the community that these are things to take seriously, especially managing animals and doing chores with kit like this on. So thank you for this.
If you're in a trendy Venezuelan gang, please don't come here. You won't like it.
Anybody else? Time for probably one more question.
It's too flat.
My question is, what's your real opinion about Lawrence?
About what?
How do you feel about Lawrence?
Great city, much improved since before the Civil War.
As a Marine or a military or a country, most of the time you have on this color uniform, I have on this kind of uniform. I know you're the enemy, I'm your enemy. Anymore, everybody looks the same. It's hard. They're gonna walk up. How you doing, buddy? Hey, would you hold my gun? Whatever, to get up close to you and take you out. We need to be aware of that and be careful. People are very misleading, and when they come, they're gonna be that way.
Yep, I would expect the stop that. I would kind of expect the general tactic around here is like the first guy or two that shows up, he's gonna be really cool, everything's gonna be fine. Then all of a sudden, like guns are gonna show up, and like we gotta go do stuff, or they're already doing stuff to you. We need to make it stop. Are we live right now?
We're not live this time.
Thank God. Hey, okay, yeah, totally unrelated to the speech. That is literally all that it will take to get your live video shut down on YouTube 2 weeks ago while I was practicing for this speech.
Technically, we're live.
Yeah, that's better. Yeah, I stood up to start talking about the British rig, and I had my handguns on, and wearing those things with handguns on is uncomfortable. So I just took them off and set them on the table outside. When I took it off, it was on the camera, and I set them down off the camera, and that was enough for the YouTube algorithm to go, fuck this guy, we're shutting him down. So I couldn't do lives for like a couple of days.
Wow.
Super gay.
Yeah.
YouTube. We're going to put that in your algorithm.
That's definitely going in the algorithm.
Make a short of that, if you would.
Definitely. We're gonna blur out your face though.
Why?
We're not.
I've got my whole ass name and face as the YouTube channel. I'm not trying to hide. I can't hide. So.
All right, no more questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Sam.
That's rude.
You know what they say about submariners?
They're fucking
100
crazy.
sailors go down, 50 couples come up.
No.
I thought it was 49.
150 go out and only 50 trees come back.
All right, next class is at 1 o'clock. Enjoy your day. If you see me and you want to get more tickets, I'll be here all day.
Now I gotta put all this shit somewhere.
Keep starting, Charlie, if you want to. Get scared.
Well, I can go put little clothes on there. I can get to them. Nancy, go for it.
She just walks over here, said nothing, and a giant water balloon walks off. What am I supposed to do?
I turned off the one I had when it started popping, so I was walking in the audio thing.
Can you help with that later, Sam?
Nope, gotcha.
Nope. I'll get that stuff later.
Okay.
First time coming out to this?
Does that go back to the truck, Sam? Does that go back to the car?
Hi, Bobby, by the way.
Copy that?
Good.
Hey, Archie. How are you?
The prize tag. See what's over here.
You have fun?
I used your stuff.
Spicy paintball gun. You need that, Timmy.
Yes, please.
For our daughter,
Pete, you're not allowed to win a spicy paintball gun. Why not? I'm just kidding. You're gonna win it.
Oh, totally.
You're totally gonna win it.
I don't know if I want that or if I want the another 22.
Well, who doesn't need it? That one can be suppressed because. You know,
So can all.